Except for the fluidity of your channel change, and you walk around the room.
Everybody is ready to go. I think we'll get started this morning. My name is Carl Nathy. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the University of Kentucky in 3 different locations this morning, all at the same time. Not only here on the Lexington campus, but we're joined this morning by our folks at Owensboro Community College and at Paducah Community College. It's an exciting day indeed. And at this time, I would like to introduce the Public Relations Coordinator at Paducah Community College, Karen Odom, who has a couple of special introductions for us. Karen?
Good morning, Carl. Thank you. We're proud to have with us today Mayor Jerry Montgomery, the new PCC President, Dr. Leonard O'Hara, and Dr. Ben Carr from UK.
Very good, Karen. Thank you very much. Also this morning at Owensboro Community College, the Public Relations Coordinator at Owensboro is Sherry Plain. Good morning, Sherry.
Good morning, Carl. I would like to introduce our acting president, Dr. Pat Lake, and our mayor, David Atkinson.
Very good. Nice to have you with us this morning, Mr. Mayor and Mr. President. At this time, here on the Lexington campus, from this room in the Center for Robotics and Manufacturing Systems, it's my pleasure and privilege to introduce the President of the University of Kentucky, Dr. Charles Wethington. Dr. Wethington.
Thank you, Carl. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, to Paducah, particularly to Mayor Montgomery and to Lynn O'Hara, to Owensboro, particularly to Pat Lake and Mayor Dave Atkinson. It's a pleasure to be with you all this morning and to talk just a bit about this, what I think is a very exciting venture by the University of Kentucky.
As a land-grant university, the University of Kentucky has very specific goals and strategies to assure that higher education is available to every Kentuckian. An important element of the university's strategic plan calls for creating more off-campus programs and using new technology to make educational opportunities, including graduate-level instruction, easily available statewide. Yet another major component of the statewide plan, that strategic plan of ours, directs that the university move to the forefront of information technology in support of a quality educational experience. 2 of the ways this is accomplished is by providing comprehensive information transfer and interactive capabilities throughout the university and providing statewide leadership in the establishment of communications facilities. The announcement the university is making today serves both of these goals, and a personal goal of mine to provide graduate classes to West Kentucky by the spring semester of 1991. The University of Kentucky is pleased today to unveil a 2-way video system that allows faculty to teach courses to students in the far reaches of the state as if they were in the same room. Other electronic classroom systems offers 1-way video and 1-way audio to bring the instructor and curriculum to the student. This system adds a new dimension to remote teaching. Through 2-way video and audio, the instructor and students interact with each other, and they can see and speak with each other regardless of where they are located. This system was initiated just a few weeks ago with 3 graduate-level courses in engineering offered to students in Paducah and Owensboro. 2 of the classes are available to Lexington campus students as well. In March, graduate courses in education will be added to the network. I might add that this system is particularly suited to graduate education, where small classes and dialogue between student and teacher are so important. The system permits us, for the first time, to deliver graduate programs into Western Kentucky. We look forward to stretching the graduate campus environment to other sections of the state in the future, depending on the availability of faculty and facilities and resources. I want to thank the public officials of Owensboro and Paducah, as well as representatives of the Owensboro and Paducah community colleges, for joining us today in this announcement. We hope you agree that this innovation opens the doors for further advances in educational interaction between your communities and the Lexington campus and medical center of the University of Kentucky. It is through the implementation of programs such as these that we are fulfilling the mission of the university, the Council on Higher Education, and the Kentucky General Assembly in reaching out to bring higher education to every Kentuckian. It's important to remember, whether we are speaking of the Lexington campus, the medical center, or their system of community colleges throughout the state, that we are one university. working together to provide the education, the research, and the service that will benefit all of us in this Commonwealth. It is my wish that the University of Kentucky be the institution that is turned to first when people in the state move to solve problems and move to seek help with kinds of services that only the University of Kentucky can provide. Ladies and gentlemen, I know it has been some long time in coming to you in Owensboro and to you in Paducah, but I can assure you that we in the University of Kentucky, working with you in the communities throughout the state and with the community college system, are very pleased to have this technology available today and are pleased to start graduate work in these two communities through this interactive video.
Thank you very much, President Wethington. Now at this time, my pleasure to introduce the President or Vice President UK for Information Systems, a man who keeps very, very busy introducing computer labs on campus and the like. And today, it's my pleasure to introduce Vice President Gene Williams. Gene?
Thank you, Carl. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. That greeting extends to Paducah and Owensboro as well as Lexington. I want to thank you, also add my thanks to you for joining us this morning for what I think is a very important announcement. The technology we're using here obviously is pretty exciting, but as President Wethington mentioned, the real story here is this enables us, this university now, to virtually deliver its graduate education programs anywhere, virtually anywhere in the Commonwealth. As you can see, this type of interactive video allows for very good interaction between students and faculty, and as such, it's particularly well suited to graduate education, which requires that type of interactivity. We're able to provide this service using really a combination of computing and communications technology. It's called compressed video. And as I'm sure most of you have noticed, it's not quite the same quality as the full motion or broadcast video that most of us are accustomed to. You can see that by comparing the two monitors, or if I wave my hand. But the point is, it's quite good and I think very acceptable for most purposes. We also can use and do use satellite technology for providing courses to sites distant from the Lexington campus. But this interactive video adds certainly a new dimension to the classroom experience. At this point, I want to introduce to you someone who's really familiar with this and has actually been using it. It's one of the faculty members from our College of Engineering who's been teaching classes using this technology. Dr. Peter Sadler from the Mechanical Engineering Department. Dr. Sadler.
Good morning. As President Wethington mentioned, there are 3 courses that we're currently offering via the system this semester, 3 graduate courses. I'm the instructor for one of those courses in mechanical engineering. It's a graduate level design related course. And I'd like to talk a little bit about how we're doing that and demonstrate a little bit of the capability of this system to you this morning. As far as the equipment goes, each of the 3 sites has essentially the same equipment. There are 3 cameras located at each location, and they can be controlled either by a handheld control that an assistant might use, or I can control the cameras from here, from a computer pad. And I think you've seen certainly one of those cameras demonstrated. The one you're viewing through right now is a camera that would be on the instructor and for normal lecture activity. In addition, there was one that you saw a little bit of earlier that can focus on the audience. And this particular camera can pan and zoom so that we can isolate a particular student in the classroom who might have a question or want to make a comment. And this is true not only for the local activity here, but at each of the sites we can zoom in on a particular student who has some comment or question that he may want to offer. There's a third camera that I can use here at the lectern in order to present material. And I've got a graphic here. We've got some extra lighting in the room here today, so there'll be a little bit of shadowing, but you can get an idea of the type of material that we can present. We can zoom in or out on different pieces of material. We can use, obviously, hard copy of notes and so on. We can present transparency materials. We can present slide materials. and so on. And I can certainly lecture here at the pad as well, and if you're interested in taking some notes this morning, you might want to follow. And once I get programmed into lecturing, it might be hard to stop me. But basically, we can look at the material of a course, and we can present it via the system to the sites, I think, in an effective way. And we can talk about whatever the topic might be. I can produce information in real time here at the site. The students can present material. Not only can they ask questions, but they can write down problems and present those via the two-way video back to this particular location. Let me get back on this camera. There's also two-way audio, as you're aware. There are microphones set up throughout the classroom so that the students can ask questions. They are voice-activated microphones. And I think both Dr. Wethington and Vice President Williams have mentioned the fact that a key asset of this system is the two-way video and audio, this interactivity that we can achieve through the system. And I feel that that is a very important aspect of the course, of this medium for presenting courses. And I think in the particular case of the courses this semester, it's going well. The feedback that I'm getting seems to be positive. The potential, we're just beginning to examine or utilize the potential of this system. There are several other capabilities that we have to interact with computers, for example. We've started to do some of those things. And so I'm quite impressed by the system. I'm finding that I can convert my course material over to this type of a setting quite effectively. And I think it has a great deal of potential, and I expect we'll see quite a growth in the area of this type of presentation. Thank you, and I'd like to turn it back over to Carl, I guess.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Sadler, and I'm sure glad you gave me an A in Mechanical Engineering 542 last semester. Just kidding, believe me. At this time, in all seriousness, it is my pleasure to introduce the Dean of the Graduate School of the University of Kentucky, Dr. Daniel Reedy. Dr. Reedy.
Good morning in Paducah and Owensboro. Thanks, Carl. And the serious lecturing starts now. The President Wethington has given you a good indication of the importance of this activity to the mission and to the goals and the strategies of this institution, particularly as it relates to graduate education, the way it fits into our land grant status as a university. And Vice President Williams has certainly brought to the fore the importance of this technology. To suggest that we have not been doing extended campus graduate education is not the case. We've been doing that at distances just about as far as we can drive because that extension effort of the University of Kentucky has long been there. But what we now have is a capability with new technologies to extend that activity into areas of the state that are appropriate to the mission of the university as it's defined by state statute and by the Council on Higher Education. There is a very clear need for access to graduate education, much more so than may have been at times in the past. This is not just the case in Kentucky. This is the case nationally. And I can report to you, for example, that the Council of Graduate Schools in the United States and in Canada has recently put forward a very strong report about the changing of modes of instruction, of using new technologies, of looking for different environments where graduate education can be delivered in different manners. We're glad that the University of Kentucky to be at the forefront of some of those activities. And we know that it's important for a population of graduate students or potential graduate students that are going to be in age groups from 35 to 45 rather than youngsters who come here to campus to start work on a master's at 22, 23. We're talking about people now who are in positions, maybe in Paducah, maybe in Owensboro, and Pikeville, Ashland, Hazard, in which we can provide some of the programs that are available to at this institution to satisfy their professional needs for advancement in their employment, or we are hopeful for that lifelong learning process, which is what education is all about. Lifelong learning is no longer just an elusive dream, I think, at the higher education level. It is, in fact, a necessity. It's a reality, and if we hope to advance the well-being of the citizenry of the Commonwealth, we have a responsibility in that arena. As I mentioned, the University of Kentucky for many, many years has had extended campus programs at the undergraduate, at the graduate level, and in continuing education in such fields as social work, in different areas of education, in engineering, nursing, library science, public health, agriculture, a broad array of offerings that you would expect to have coming out of a land-grant university. The technology that is available now allows us to interact, as some of us were only yesterday in the western part of the state, with counterparts there and with citizens groups, to find out what the needs are better, to get them to help us to assess those needs in the Commonwealth, and to find ways that we can respond to them through this technology. Perhaps the most exciting piece of this for me is that we will be at the forefront of activity, not just in this state, but in the nation, in attempting to deliver doctoral education. Now in a movement toward the western part of the state, and we are hopeful into other regions of the state, in a Doctor of Education program. We see this not just as taking care of a part of our mission, because we are the one university in the state that is charged with statewide responsibility for doctoral education, but it is an opportunity to embrace jointly and cooperatively our sister institutions right now in Murray State University and in Western Kentucky University in this joint doctoral activity. We have had good interaction with them. We look forward to that in the future, and we know that this will help to meet many of our responsibilities as they are outlined by the Council on Higher Education. This opportunity, I think, as well, should be an important part of the University of Kentucky's interaction and contribution to the Kentucky Education Reform Act. We take that responsibility seriously. We believe that the training and the research skills that will come to superintendents, principals, other administrators around the state will be important contributions within their region. I know that a lot of other universities around the country will be looking at us, at our experiment, which is both daring and innovative, at offering doctoral education in an expanded manner. We look forward to sharing with them the success of that adventure. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dean Reedy. Now, very much a fun part of this whole exercise this morning is where we're at right now. At this time, I'd like to invite questions from the assembled gatherings. First of all, let's turn our attention to Paducah, then we'll come to Owensboro and here to Lexington and kind of go around our three-way circuit, if you will. First of all, Paducah Community College. Karen Odom, does anybody have a question from there?
Yes, this is Len O'Hara from Paducah. And first of all, I want to thank Dr. Wethington and everyone else there at UK for bringing the programs to us. And what was not mentioned was the quality of the programs that are coming. We're very excited not only to have access, but also to have the quality that UK is famous for. Does anyone have an idea of what programs are planned after education and engineering are in place?
All right. We'll have someone address that. Dean Reedy.
We're still in the conversation stage on some of those, Lynn, but we know, for example, that there have been many suggestions of needs in the area of social work. Nursing certainly is one of those programmatic areas that we intend to move outside the confines of Lexington to address some of the very important needs at developing master's level nursing persons. We are hopeful, I think as well, that other degree programs, perhaps in such areas as health administration, and certainly expansion of work, I would think, into degree programs in engineering. These things will come not tomorrow, obviously, but with good planning and over a period of time.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
What is the cost of this program?
Question was, what is the cost of this program? And we'll have that addressed. All right, Gene.
I'll speak to the technology side of that. To put the equipment that you see here in place at the 3 locations, we have an investment right now of about $395,000. That was our initial capital cost. Now, in addition to do that, you obviously have to put in place the digital communication lines, so-called T1s, to the 2 sites, and the current recurring cost component of that is somewhere in the neighborhood of $85,000 a year. One of the things I should mention in addition to that, having these links in place is going to allow the university to reduce its cost in other areas. Obviously, there are a lot of telecommunication and data communication lines existing now, which will be able to utilize the same communication links this video is running over. So there will be some cost reduction to the university overall because of these lines. Now, as far as program cost, I'll let Dr. Reedy speak to that.
Well, obviously, there are some program costs involved, many of those in personnel and additional personnel time that's involved, because graduate programming and education doesn't happen without faculty involved in that process. We also have discovered that we need to train some of us who aren't natural-born addicts to appearing before television cameras, and so we do need, in some cases, to change our modes of instruction, and that takes good training of those faculty, so that I'd like to look at it in another way. Perhaps the programmatic costs are not the greatest factor. I'd like to look at it another way and say, what will it cost the Commonwealth if we don't do these things, in terms of the lifestyle, the well-being, the economic and intellectual potential of our citizenry. That's the factor we have to look at, and then we have to be as cost-conscious as we can in terms of seeing that we meet those needs.
Any other questions?
All right, thanks very much, Paducah. At this time, I'd like to invite a question from Owensboro Community College. Owensboro?
Sure. If we could go back to cost for a moment, I'm curious what expense will be passed on to your students if they elect to take these type of courses?
All right, just a moment, please.
The student will be paying the same cost for courses that are delivered by television as if that student were enrolled in that course here at the University of Kentucky or enrolled in some off-campus site. There will be no difference in the cost.
Okay. Oh. Any more from Owensboro at this time?
Sure, I know what no one else does. What sort of bugs in the system are you anticipating? How long do you think it will take to work out all the kinks?
I will have Gene Williams, our Vice President, come up to answer that one.
We're anticipating absolutely no problems with this system. We found it to be 100% reliable. Well, in seriousness, it's technology. It's not stuff that's so exotic we shouldn't be able to keep operating, but probably from time to time we'll have problems with it. Even faculty members occasionally get sick. But as a matter of fact, I might share with you last night we had one small little problem with the link to Owensboro, and spent a little bit of time till about 5 a.m. this morning. Some of my people had to stay here and work to get that up, and I said, look at it this way: you didn't have to get up early this morning. But in seriousness, it's very dependable technology. I think we're obviously kind of in the shakedown phase of it right now, but it should be very reliable. I don't anticipate major problems.
Thank you very much, Owensboro. At this time, our folks in Lexington have been waiting patiently, and any questions from here in the room in Lexington?
Yeah, Carl, if you could clear up one thing. We have one other monitor other than the one here in Lexington. The switching of the two cameras here, is that the switching of the two locations, obviously? Okay.
Yes, let me have Gene come up again. And
okay.
Paul Levesque.
A lot of the hands we are.
I'm going to ask Paul Levesque, who's our director of instructional resources, to deal with that, and give you a little idea of how the system works.
Yeah, and also explain how the signal is sent back and forth. Technical.
This is Paul Levesque, for purpose of identification, as Gene said, Director of Instructional Resources here at UK.
The monitor you see here on your left is the monitor that has the compressed video signal. The signal is being sent along T1 telephone lines. The signal is being compressed.
We can't hear you very well in Owensboro.
The signal is being compressed to 768 kilobits per second. That's a compression rate of somewhere in the neighborhood of 270-something to 1 versus normal analog broadcast quality video. The way the system works is that we select a predetermined amount of time to switch between sites. At the moment, it's set at 10 seconds. There is a video follow audio default, so that if it's Paducah's time to be up and a student in Owensboro has a question, the system automatically defaults as to the student's question, video following the audio of his question. And that's how we switch between sites.
Thank you, Paul. At this time, I want to invite the mayors, the respective mayors, if I could, for just a moment in Owensboro and in Paducah, if they had a comment on our new teaching technology that we're unveiling this morning.
He's going to talk. There's a guy in Owensboro there.
Give us the go-ahead.
Go right ahead. You're ready there.
I would like to say a few words to President Wethington, Dr. Reedy, and the others gathered in Lexington on behalf of Owensboro, and also to my colleague in Paducah, Jerry Montgomery. This morning really represents two dreams that have come true for Owensboro, Kentucky, and especially for the Citizens Committee on Education here in our community. First is the dream of utilizing telecommunications technology to import education and instruction into our community. As you all know, we are not the home of a university here in Owensboro, as Paducah is not. And so the opportunity for specialized courses in things like engineering and the doctorate in education would perhaps never come to Owensboro were it not for this new technology. So we're delighted that this morning represents the beginning of that new era. Also, the Citizens Committee has had a continuing interest in graduate education. And as Dr. Reedy knows, we have been actively pursuing that with the university for some time. So the technology and the instruction come together, and we're really delighted with what this offers Owensboro.
Thank you, Mayor Atkinson in Owensboro. And how about in Paducah?
This is Jerry Montgomery, and it is a real pleasure for us to be a part of this entire day. Welcome to you, David. It's good to see you on the tube also. We want to thank President Wethington very much, because we know without his efforts, this extension to our area would not be possible. We are approximately 5+ hours from Lexington, and we, like Owensboro, do not have a university. We do not even have a 4-year college as Owensboro does. Therefore, it is a real blessing to us in Western Kentucky far western Kentucky, David, to have this come to Paducah. We want to thank all of those at the University of Kentucky who have worked so hard to make it possible. And we're looking forward to the future of being able to educate those people who are place-bound here, who are working, and who need the continuing education.
Mayor Montgomery, thank you very much for your comments. And I believe we had another question here in Lexington. Gary?
Yeah, Carl, will the interactive video system be solely limited to instructional use, or will you be looking at teleconferences between the administrative personnel and what have you?
We'll bring Vice President Gene Williams forth again. Gene?
I'm glad you asked that question. We will be using it for other uses. As a matter of fact, in the short period of time we've had in it, it's already become apparent that it's very useful. We've had numerous sessions, conferences between the people here in Lexington and the locations in Owensboro and Paducah. As a matter of fact, we're having distance learning meetings trying to organize our efforts in this area, and we're going to do them using this technology. It's also equally obvious that students will be able to talk with faculty in the same way. It'll be almost like going to a faculty office. So yes, we anticipate there'll be numerous other uses other than just instruction for it.
We have another question here from Paducah, Carl.
Okay, go right ahead, Paducah.
My question deals with the fact that some regional institutions have already been active in this technology. And I was wondering how long your plans for this technology had been in place and whether or not you'd use the regional institutions as a model in any way.
Okay, Dean Reedy.
The case that I know best is the connecting link between Murray State and Paducah. And we were, last year when we were down visiting in that area, we did see a demonstration of that. And we are never remiss to say that we can learn from a sister institution or from anyone else. We were very impressed, and we all went away saying, that's the kind of thing we need to be doing. So yes, that was a model which was one that we were delighted to see and quite willing to follow.
Okay, time for just a couple more questions. Back here in Lexington, please.
Will the interactive video systems be used, will be limited to 3 classrooms only? Will we have any room to expand, or we have 3 classrooms?
Gene Williams.
It is limited to those 3. I think my director of OIR, Paul Levesque, told me the equipment is movable but not portable. We're not tied to this particular classroom. We could move it about, although it's not something you want to do on an hour's notice. But am I answering, or did I get your question? Yeah. Oh, yes, we will obviously be looking at expanding to other sites. And what we'll be looking at doing there is obviously equipping more classrooms here in Lexington, because we'll be broadcasting more different instructional material. But yes, we will be definitely looking at expanding.
Any other questions from Owensboro or Paducah or Lexington?
Karen, I have one. How many students?
We have one here from Paducah, Carl.
All right, Karen.
How many students in the program here and in Owensboro? A breakdown of the 2 cities at this point.
Did you hear that one, Carl?
Yes, and we're going to bring up our Director of University Extension, Phil Greasley, to answer that question. Phil?
Good morning. The enrollments across the compressed video courses on and off campus to date this semester total 31. There will be another course which will begin this March, and we would expect perhaps as many as 25 or 30 in that class. 31 at the moment. Some of the classes set up rather recently. We would expect much more with each semester.
Thank you, Phil Greasley. Any other questions at this time? If not, we want to say a great big thank you to those of you in Paducah and those of you joining us from Owensboro Community College. We are going to try to leave the system, as it were, active here, interactive for a few moments, so that perhaps those of you in the media who would like to come up and take a closer look at this technology can do so. And we encourage that with Karen at Paducah and with Sherry at Owensboro. Thank you all for joining us this morning, not only here, as I say, in Lexington, but out in western Kentucky from Paducah and Owensboro. And that concludes the formal part of our news conference, and we look forward to this exciting new teaching technology playing a greater and greater role through the years of the University of Kentucky. Good morning.